Hope podcast. Today we are chatting to a very good friend of mine, Olga. For this episode, which is episode 3, we're gonna just be hearing a bit about her story, and I hope you'll see the side of her heart that I've seen over the last 5-6 years that I've known you.
6 years.
And as always, hearing people's stories I think is so powerful, and it just provides direction for younger kids, but also I'm not alone in this. So yeah, Olga, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Hi, I'm Olga, and where do I start introducing myself? A businesswoman, a mother of a special needs child.
Mm-hmm.
I've got 2 lovely children, my son Viwe and Wendy, and I think that's about it.
That's beautiful. So Olga, I guess my first question is, how do you do it? You're a businesswoman and a special needs mom. How do you do it?
I think at some point, one thing that helps me is that I decided that I'm not going to label my child as a special needs. He's just a child like any other child. So for me, that has been one thing that, for me, they're my children. So work with like any other person, you go to work, and you've got children. So that's how I survived.
Yeah.
And for me, that helped because then it teaches Viwe to be independent.
Yeah.
It also teaches him to be like, also look at other children like his peers.
Yeah.
So that's what has helped me really.
Yeah. He's honestly one of my favorites. I love getting hugs from, even when he runs away from me, I'll still chase him to get my hug. But tell me a little bit about those first few days when you found out. What were you thinking? What happened? Yeah, can you remember back 15 years?
I'll never ever forget the way that I found out.
Yeah.
Okay, first let's start when I was pregnant. And because of the age, I was 37 when I was pregnant.
Okay.
And my gynae said that I need to do the amniocentesis.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't know what the hell was that. And then he tried to explain to me. And I was like, I'm not going to do it because it's irrelevant. Either way, I'm still going to keep the child because I have been looking for a child. So I'm happy to go either way. Come the day of the birth of my child, my son is born, and the doctor tells me that the next day that I think your child has got Down syndrome. And I'm like, what does that mean for me? So it's nothing much. The development is going to be slow. And that was the end of it. That's how I knew about it.
Wow.
There was never a mention of what do you do. There's intervention, there's this. And I think I always say that if I knew earlier what I know now, I think things would have turned differently.
Okay.
So 3 weeks later, when we went for our visit, I was told that instead of having 4 chambers of the heart, he only had 1 chamber.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Okay.
So we had to go see a cardiologist. We went to see a cardiologist in St. Augustine's Hospital. When we got there, we had to go to Sunning Hill Hospital.
Okay.
And it was going to be a major operation. So I spent about 2 months in Sunning Hill Hospital.
Wow.
So yeah, when we did that operation, I remember it was, you appreciate things that you never appreciated before. You learn so much. Because one day you come in hospital and you find the child that was sitting next to your child is not there. And you got a child who's about 15 years, who's been in hospital for the rest of her life.
Sure.
So yeah, it's been a journey. So some things you can't forget.
Yeah. So you were there for 2 months?
For 2 months.
And did they do the operation?
Yes, they did the operation, and fortunately it was successful.
Okay. And what was that recovery period like? Because that's an intense operation, right?
I think that's the only reason that they kept us there for long, because they wanted to see that he fully recovers. So a week later when we went to do our tests, everything was fine.
Oh, what a champion. Sure. And what was going through your mind? What were you thinking?
I think before we even go there, when he was born, before we even went for operation, there was denial. There was, but why me?
Yeah.
And what am I going to do? How do you, what happens?
I can relate.
And I remember my father saying to me, you know what? God never make mistakes. He chose you for a reason. He knew that you're going to be capable of raising him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So don't ever ask yourself that question. I've been hearing you crying and saying this. God knew exactly what he was doing. So you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
So I think from then on, after 2 months, I was like, you know what? Just wake up and just get on with the rhythm. You are here now.
Yeah.
Just deal with it.
I think that's one of the things that I've always appreciated about our conversations is your move to action. There's a time where you allow yourself to feel whatever you're feeling, because we all have bad days, right? Yeah. But the thing that I've always loved about our chats is how you push me forward. Like our discussion just now about finding a place for Ollie to live, and you're like, no, he's gonna be fun. Don't overthink it. And that's what I love. So how did you decide to have another baby?
That was never planned. And apparently the pregnancy happened in the process of Sunning Hill.
Oh!
To an extent that I did not even tell anyone that I was pregnant.
Oh, really?
My sister only found out when I gave birth to Wendy.
Oh, wow.
So it was and I remember crying, said, but why?
Yeah.
Why? Because I was scared that, what if it's another child with Down syndrome?
Of course.
But it was the best thing that God did for me, because I don't think that Viwe would have developed as he has if Wendy was not there.
Yeah, she's amazing.
I always believe that siblings are there to assist our children.
Yeah.
That's my thing. So he knew what he was doing then again.
Yeah, we do just have to trust him.
Exactly.
Without knowing where we're going.
Exactly.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about Viwe. So I know, he's 15. I love him. He's got the best sense of humor. But tell us a little bit about him.
He's such a special boy. Loving, sensitive. What can I say? Sure. He's been the best thing ever to happen to my life.
Yeah.
He's taught me how to love.
Yeah.
He's taught me how to be patient more than anything else.
Yeah.
Because I remember that after the operation, we started attending physio, not because of the operation. I think because one side, he couldn't walk properly.
Okay.
He would drag his feet. And I didn't associate it with the operation. But eventually someone said that they suspect that he had a mild stroke when he was a child.
Okay.
Which is why his left side is not as active as the other one.
Okay.
So he's been, sure, what do I say? He's so brave. That's all that I can say.
He is. He's only 15 and he's gone through so much already.
Yeah, he's gone through so much.
And you would never say it from the way that he lives life to the fullest.
No, he definitely does.
Laser tag, pizza parties, gymnastics. Do you want to tell us a little bit about his gymnastics journey? Because we do that
I'll
every
tell
Saturday.
you about swimming first.
Yes.
I remember because when you want your child to do sports like any other child.
Yeah.
And there wasn't anything for special needs children. So I remember when Wendy started swimming lessons, I was like, can we please attend to swimming? And they're like, no, we don't do special needs children. And I was like, but where is he supposed to go? I said, if Wendy comes here, you're going to have to take him. If you can't take him, then I might as well go away. And I remember Laura saying that, okay, I'll give it a try.
Yeah.
And that's how our journey with swimming started. He was very, very scared of water. He loved the pool, the idea of a pool, but he would sit on the step. And each and every time I would like, no, something needs to be done.
Yeah.
So it started with swimming. I remember that he couldn't kick properly in the water. He couldn't lift his arms. He couldn't do this. But now I can proudly say that he can do a long pool by himself, dip end and all.
That's amazing.
So I'm quite chuffed, and he's also chuffed about that.
Yeah.
And then we started doing surfing after the pool, because there was that Made for More. They do surfing for kids with special needs. So we started doing that. And I think the idea for me was that because he's scared of the sea, was that I get used to the water in the sea. We started doing that, and then gymnastics came. So, and they clash because they're all on Saturdays.
Yes, I remember.
So I was like torn between, do we go to surfing, do we go to gymnastics? Until he had a dump in surfing.
Oh.
And it was like normal.
Oh,
I was like,
my
okay,
boy.
let's try gymnastics. So that's how we ended up in gymnastics.
Yeah.
That is his happy place.
Yeah.
That is his happy place. So even if there are times, you know, when I'm like, this is just not working out.
Yeah.
He's not progressing, because you see other children and you want your child to be like other children.
Yeah.
You know, but you realize that sometimes it's not about how he performs. It's about what he gets, the fulfillment of going there,
That's
the
so
friends he
beautiful.
make.
Yeah.
So for me, I think gymnastics is about that.
Yeah. And so last September we went to Pretoria as a group. Do you want to tell us about what we did there?
Oh gosh. You know, I've never felt so proud of our boys
Yeah.
in that competition.
Yeah.
For our children just to be acknowledged, for them to participate in something that is meaningful to them,
Yeah.
because it's all about them. It was just for them.
Yeah.
And preparing to go to Pretoria was the happiest I've ever seen of him about something.
Yeah.
He looked so forward to going to Pretoria that he's going to compete and he's going to win.
Yeah.
So for him, everything it's winning.
Yeah.
Even if he does something that he couldn't do before,
Yeah.
that's winning. So when everybody got medals and he didn't get a medal, to him it was still a win. He felt that he had won.
Yeah.
So when his video apparently trended and then he got that, it was something else for him. He was super, super excited.
Yeah.
But I think with that competition for me, I wish that there was more.
Yeah.
There were more competitions, not just gymnastics, any other thing,
Yeah.
where they can actually feel acknowledged as well.
Yeah. A part of something bigger.
A part of something bigger.
Yeah. So for me, when we went to Pretoria for those, it was the World Down Syndrome Championships, yeah?
That's correct.
I loved watching our boys interact and see other adults with Down syndrome.
Exactly.
And I remember watching, I think it was the Italian team,
Yes.
the way that they could do things 100 times better than I could ever do
Yes.
it. It was so inspiring.
It was.
And I agree with you, it would be so amazing to have more local sports clubs and competitions and matches for our kids. So I don't know if anybody out there is listening that they want to pick that up. Just a little hint I'll drop there. But what advice would you give to parents who are just starting out on this journey? Maybe they've got a newborn or, you know, a toddler.
Funny that you asked that question, because a friend of my sister just had a child with Down syndrome.
Yeah.
And I remember calling her. I was like, you know what? I know exactly how you feel. And we started talking, and I was like, the child's going to grow. Look at my son.
Yeah.
And I said to her, you know what? I'll tell you the same thing that my dad said, that there's a reason that God gave you this child. And she has been struggling with conceiving as well. She's got a daughter, and she's had about 3 miscarriages.
Wow.
So I said, appreciate what God has given you. Don't look at what's going to happen or what. Just enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
Just live in the moment.
Yeah.
And the only advice that I can tell you is that go for intervention early. That's one thing that I missed.
Yeah.
Look for a speech therapist, look for an OT now,
Yeah.
while the child is still young.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, he called me, like, Olga, it's like you're an angel sent from above. Talking to you has helped me in so many ways. The acceptance, you know, the thinking, the planning of what needs to happen,
Yeah.
those kind of things, it's starting to happen. And I think one of the things that I struggled with, it's schools.
Yeah.
One thing that I really, really struggled, I remember being frustrated, going to Down Syndrome Association, asking, what do you do? Where do you go?
I did the same.
And they had older children, so they were not I felt that they were not interested. Maybe they were.
Yeah.
I just felt that they were not interested. I would ask, what happens? What when a child does this, where do you go?
Yeah.
It's like no one was listening. So you actually had to do that on your own. I had to figure it out by myself.
Yeah.
I had to fight with schools. I remember the first school that I went to was Kanyisa. When
Yeah?
they initially opened,
When they were in the house.
when they were in the house.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, my child can't come here.
Wow.
I suppose it's denial again.
Fair enough. I was there as well.
Because you want your child to feel normal. And you get to a school and there are different spectrums. And you're like, no, my child is not like this.
Yeah.
It happens. My child is not like this. So I still want him to be in a school. So I remember I went out from Kanyisa. I looked for other schools. I actually found a school in Queensborough. Wow. That's how far I went.
From Durban North?
From Durban North to Queensborough. And we got to that school. They accepted him. He was fine. But I still felt that it wasn't the right school for him. And then I remember I moved to Westville because I stayed in Westville at the time. I moved to Westville. I found another school in Westville. And it was a Lutheran church school. So I was quite happy, and he was happy. But there came a time when it was like, we can't help with you anymore with the child.
Yeah.
That's when we went back again to Kanyisa and like, okay, now what do we do?
Yeah.
That's when we actually went back to Kanyisa. That's when we started this journey at Kanyisa. And we were quite happy there.
So I have had a conversation with Amy from Kanyisa, and one of the questions that I asked her was, what advice, or how do you decide mainstream versus a special needs education path? What made you choose Kanyisa for Viwe in the end?
I think for me, the reason that I chose it, if I were to choose again, I'll still choose mainstream.
Okay.
And the reason that I would choose mainstream, and I've said this to Amy as well, I believe that if you take a child to a special needs school, although he's got special needs, they are limited. They put limits onto the children.
I know what you mean, yeah.
Whereas in mainstream, they are treated like any other child.
Yeah.
I remember that we came out of Kanyisa, I think about 3 years ago. I took him out of Kanyisa 3 years ago. And I could see how he prospered when he was out of Kanyisa.
I remember that, yeah.
They would give him homeworks, he would do orals, those kind of things. It helped him a lot. The only reason that I'm taking him out of the school, it was because of there was no consistency in terms of the teachers. They kept on changing teachers. So that's never good for our kids. Yeah. Because they like consistency.
They do. And routine
and structure. So that's the only reason that we came back to Kanyisa. And I remember saying, I wonder if this is the best decision that I'm doing, taking back to Kanyisa.
Yeah.
And one thing that I've since realized is that my wishes will not be fulfilled the way that I want them to be.
Okay.
Because one of the reasons that I wanted him to go out of Kanyisa is that I wanted him to be able to write and read.
Yes, I remember having this conversation with you.
So those are the two things for me, but I've since accepted that he won't be able to write. He won't be able to read. But at least he must be able to know my phone number, his phone number, the most important, the basic things. Yeah. Your address, that in case anything happens. If he wants to go to the shop, he must be able to know that how much do I have in my hand. Yeah. You know, it's those little things that you want your child to learn.
How do you adjust the vision you have for him as he grows and as you learn kind of what he'll be able to and what he won't be able to do? Because that's something I think we have to face as parents. It's like there is limitations, right? Because of the diagnosis, whatever it might be, autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome. How do you adjust the way you see what he can do later in life?
I wouldn't say that. I think it's not adjusting. It's a matter of there are things that he cannot do, and you think that he will be able to. It's a matter of psyching yourself that it's not going to happen. Okay. And once you realize that it's not going to happen, because I remember also with writing, with saying his name, you always try and push that you want him to do this. Yeah. And you're like, you know what, I've given up, he's not going to do it. Okay. 10 months later, he comes and he does it in his own time. Yeah. So I think it's that thing, which is what I'm saying, that you learn to be patient and understand.
So it's not adjusting your vision, it's adjusting how you wait for it.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we have a saying in our household. We used to say in God's time, and now we say in Ollie's time. Because you just never know.
I think I'm going to adopt that one.
Because, you know, I don't know about you. There'll be, like you say, there'll be things that you work on for ages, consistently, like trying to get them to do X, Y, and Z. And then, like you say, you just give up. And then all of a sudden, he's now got that skill. And you're like, where did that come from? I've been working on this with you for ages.
Look, just wearing techies. Just techies. Each and every time we would like help him. I think about 3 months ago, he's like, I don't need your help, I'm going to do it by myself. And he did it by himself. So it's those things that it comes when you least expect it.
Yeah. I think one of the things I've learned over the last little while is to just celebrate it all.
Of course.
Just, it doesn't matter what it is, we just celebrate it.
Yeah.
Putting on shoes, being potty trained at whatever age it was. I remember having a discussion with you about when Viwe came out of nappies at night. And okay, there is an end in sight. Like, he's not going to be 35 and still in nappies at night, because that's how it felt at the moment. But yeah, just to celebrate those small things as and when they happen. That's beautiful. So, tell me a little bit about Viwe and Wandi's relationship, because I also have 2 kids. And, you know, you see these social media reels around how siblings are like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. And, you know, all the highlight reels. It's not necessarily like that in my house. My daughter is phenomenal and she loves her brother, and I wouldn't change anything for the world. But if we're going to paint a realistic picture, let's paint it, right? Tell me.
Oh gosh. Like you say, that they love each other to bits.
Yeah.
But they irritate each other to bits as well. Just yesterday, one was like, stop sucking your thumb. You're embarrassing me. And I'm like, but he's always, no, mommy, it was fine a while ago, but now I'm in high school. What are the kids going to say? My brother's sucking a thumb. You're too old to be sucking your thumb. It's those kind of things, like, stop wearing my shirt. Stop doing this.
Yeah.
You're irritating me.
Yeah.
Wipe a seat when you make a wee.
Yeah.
It's that kind of relationship.
Yeah.
But she's very protective of his brother. Vice versa. He's very protective of Wandi.
Yeah.
But as siblings, they'll have those fights.
Yeah.
They irritate each other. They can't stand each other.
Yeah.
One minute they can't stand each other, you have to intervene. And when you intervene, they like love each other. You are left on your own. So it's just one of those relationships.
So it's Down Syndrome Awareness Month this month. I know it's not World Down Syndrome Day, that's back in March. What do you want people to know about Viwe and Down syndrome? What myth do you want to challenge?
One thing that I've never ever liked is for our children to be called Mongols.
Yeah.
That word, up to now, I still don't understand where it came from.
It makes
and
me
what
mad.
it makes me just, I don't know. But I want people to know that children with Down syndrome are people with feelings.
Beautiful.
They are sensitive. They are here to live like any other person.
Yeah.
The fact that they talk differently doesn't mean that you have to mock them.
Yeah.
Just accept them and love them. Yes, they'll give you hugs. But it doesn't mean that they're dumb.
No, not at all.
Not at all. So
Yeah.
for me, that's the thing, that they might be different, but they're able.
Yeah, I love that. They're
Yes.
different, but they're able.
They're able.
Yeah, because if I look at Viwe and I don't see a boy with Down syndrome. I just see a boy that I love, that's full of life, that has the best sense of humor. I think he gets that from you, though.
No, I think so too. Yeah, I think that's that. And also for our children to be able to be catered for.
What do you mean?
They're in the society, and we want them to be independent. We want them to be able to go on their own.
Yeah.
And I think that's the next step for me. It's 15 years now.
Yeah.
The next thing is driving lessons.
Yo.
Where do I start?
Yeah.
I think those are the things to parents out there who've got children and they've done it. I remember I've given up on riding a bike.
Yeah.
I remember I was obsessing about riding a bike. even researched, and I'm like, you know what, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I've given up on that. So now it's about just driving a car. And I remember seeing a child back then who was driving. I think he was about 21 at that time. I wish I can find that dad who can tell me.
Yeah, what he did.
What he did, so that I'm able to do it for my son.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's something we could find out.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, that's incredible. And where do you think he will go in the future? So he's at school now, he's 15, he's probably going to be there for a few more years. And then where to for him? My
dream has always been, and I've said this before, I went to India and I saw, because I'm in KFC.
Yes.
I saw a KFC for special needs children.
Really?
Yes. And that has always been my dream, that I want to open a store where it caters just for special needs children.
Yeah.
That they've got a place to work in.
Yeah.
They feel appreciated, they feel loved. Because
Yes.
that's what I felt in India.
Amazing.
And they've got special stores, they've got special things.
Okay.
The only challenge, it's my dream, and I still think that it's going to be achieved. The only challenge that I'm struggling with now is to find, because for you to open that particular store, one, you need a site, you need a place where people can understand what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for me, that would be either Umhlanga or Durban North. That's where I'm looking around.
Yeah.
And it would have been ideal to look around where the school is. Because then it also helps, because they always want to help children. Like now, they're going to Spa.
Yes.
But finding a site, that is a challenge.
Yeah.
Because there's one that I was finding right near Mhlanga Ridge, but subsequently it's not available anymore. So if anyone knows of a site,
Okay.
I'm happy to go that route. So that was my dream. That's what I would love for Viwe to do.
Beautiful.
To have that.
Yeah.
But we've since found out that he loves DJing. So he's always saying that he's a DJ. Everything is a DJ, so he loves that.
That makes sense, because the birthday party was DJ themed. Yes.
So that's the new thing now. So I've bought him the deck.
Okay.
So I'm actually looking for a school for him to learn to DJ.
Okay.
Because maybe that's another thing. So whatever direction that he points me to, I'm happy to go that direction.
And that's the thing I love about you, is it's like you just challenge convention. It's not, you just go with it, and you don't go, oh, shame, but. It's not, oh, shame, but. In fact, you challenge me on that all the time, which I love. It's like, okay, this is his dream. Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
I love that.
So I think that's the next step, that if next year we can find a school where he can just go learn to DJ. The one that I found was in town, and I was like, I cannot do town. The times and everything, I just cannot. I can't. So I'm trying to find something around. But if it doesn't happen, then it means town will go.
Yeah. Okay. Can I ask a question? You don't have to answer, so we might have to cut this, but let me ask it. What is it like being a single mom?
You don't have to cut this. Sure. It's difficult. That's all that I can say. I think what makes it more difficult in my case is when I got Viwe, I was married to a loving husband and a loving father. And I thought when we went to Sunny Hill, we were together in all this journey. I never ever thought in my life that when we got divorced, he would divorce the children as well. So I think that's what makes it more difficult. The questions that I get from the children.
Yeah.
To say, I remember at some stage, they came to me and they're like, why did you chase Daddy away? We're going to move now to Joburg and stay with Daddy. You must find other children.
Oh, wow.
Okay. We're going to Joburg to stay with our dad. We've been staying with you for too long. We're going away now. And I was like, no, it's cool, you can go. And I remember inviting him to come and visit the children, so that as much as we divorced, they're still your children.
Yeah.
That's what they know. They know their dad and their mother. So if it means you must come to my house to visit the children, I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
So I can have time with them.
Yeah.
But it got to a point where it's like I was begging, I was pushing, and I was like, it's just too much. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And it was putting a strain on the children as well. I would be called at school in Kanyisa, saying that Viwe has been crying that he misses his dad. And he would do things like he would be moody, he would be... So I actually had to take them to counseling, both of them, for that. And I had to actually, as you say, I had to actually pull myself together that I'm the mother and the father. And I'll give the best that I can to my children.
You 100% do.
100%. Because I remember I actually went to a maintenance court and I said, you know, there's this myth that if you are able to cater for your children, therefore you are okay. I felt that, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
He's working, I'm working.
Yeah.
So we should go 50-50. And we started having this conversation with him and he wouldn't respond. I was like, if it means going to maintenance court, I'm going there. And I went. And I went there, but unfortunately, there's nothing that you can get from there.
Yeah.
So one thing that he said that I always laugh when each and every time is like, you need to downgrade your life. I said, okay, what do you mean by downgrading my life? He said, you're taking your children to best schools. And I'm like, what kind of a parent talks like that about your children?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I must say I've got the best support system. My family, my friends.
Yeah.
So that helps a lot.
Yeah.
So he's got father viewer. Both my kids have got father figures. In their uncles, in my brothers. So we're never short of anything except for the dad.
Yeah.
But, you know, God has plans, like I always say.
He does.
So I'm quite, but being a single parent is not easy.
And you're a businesswoman. And you challenge and you don't just accept. Where does all this strength come from?
Sure. I'm not sure it's strength or it's force, actually.
I think so.
I think it's stubbornness. I think. Because if I have to travel, because you have to travel.
Yeah.
And I'm the single mother, so I have to think that who's going to take them to school?
Yeah.
Who's going to take them to activities? And I think the worst thing about me is that I don't like asking people for favors. I struggle with asking. It's like, it's something that I've never ever really done. So it becomes, it's like, if I'm going to ask you to do something, I always feel like, oh, I'm bothering this person, so let me not do it. So I think that is one thing that I had to unlearn.
Yeah.
That you actually need help.
Yes.
Because there are days when I'm like, I don't want to wake up. I don't want to go this place.
Yeah.
Can I just relax? Can I just get my me time?
Yeah.
And I always say that I wish someone was here, because then I would say, take the kids.
It's your turn.
It's your turn.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't have that. So I think that's what I've learned. I remember last week I was like, you know what? No, I refuse. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just staying home. I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
And I told them, I said, you know what, guys? I'm tired this week.
Yeah.
And they're like, you work so hard, so it's fine.
Isn't that beautiful?
So at least they understand, because also talking to them helps a lot.
Yeah.
And one thing about Viwe, he sees when you're not fine. He's like, yeah, he's like, Mommy, you're not okay. What's wrong?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. He says, no. You look angry. You look grumpy. And I'm like, I just need to rest. He said, okay, go rest. Uncle Lovema is going to fetch me from school.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
He's such a great kid. But I think what I'm hearing from you and what I've always seen in you, you call it stubbornness, I call it strength, resilience. There's many words for it, but what I've learned from you and what I love about watching you with him is you never give up. You're always challenging, whether it's him and his behavior, because they're kids and that's what happens, or it's school, or it's convention, or it's societal. You are always challenging and you always want the best for him. And that's something that I take on board when I think about Ollie and his future, or even right now. And that's what I'd love for people who are listening to take away as well. It's like, don't just accept. Yes, your child might look, sound, act, be different. But what I've learned from you is you push Viwe to be the best version of Viwe.
Yes, yes.
And that's a beautiful lesson. Tell me your story.
My new story now is about him growing up to be a teenager. And not having something to relate to, because I'm a girl and he's a boy.
Preach it, sister.
And I remember when he was growing up, just going to the bathroom. When he wanted to make a wee, he would sit down like most females do, because that's what is in the house.
Yeah.
And each and every time I stand, it was foreign to him to stand up.
Yeah.
And teaching him that was something, which he eventually got it. So now we got to a point where he likes girls. He'd come say that I've met this girl, I like this girl. And the funny part was when I got called at school, telling me that he was found in the bathroom masturbating.
Yo, Olga.
And I'm like, good Lord, where
Now
do I start? And the thing is, because I grew up where sex education was always a topic in my house, my mom talked to us about these things.
Yeah.
So it's something that I've always said that I want my kids to talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that they're going through, I must be the first person to go to.
Yeah.
So I always make the channels very clear.
Yeah.
Because I always believe that for your children to survive, because one thing that I always tell my children is that the world is so cruel out there. Don't think that everybody is kind or nice. It's a very cruel place, and you learn the hard ways. And unfortunately, our parents never prepared us for this. And I don't want to make the same mistake that my parents did to me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we've had these conversations with Wendy, and I don't remember having the conversations about sex with Viwe.
Yeah.
And it's not that I didn't want to. Is he going to understand?
How do I even
approach approach this? Because even when you watch TV and he sees people kissing, you like say, "Oh, sis," you know what I mean? And I'm like, okay. I'm like to Ben, because Ben told me, I'm like, okay, no, we're going to have this conversation.
And Ben's his teacher.
Ben's his teacher.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so we got home, and I'm like, okay, can you tell me what happened at school? And each and every time he's done something that he knows that he's not supposed to do, you can tell from his facial expression,
of course,
that something happened. So it's like, I was in the bathroom. I said, what were you doing in the bathroom? That same look that you gave me, he gave me that look. And I'm like, you know what, Viwe? You are grown up now.
Yeah.
So if this thing happens again,
yeah,
you are allowed to. There's nothing wrong. I said, first and foremost, there's absolutely nothing wrong with what you did.
Yeah, you don't want to create shame around it.
Yes, because that was my thing, that I didn't want him to feel bad. I didn't want him not to be able to talk to me about it, if in case it happens again.
Yeah.
I was like, there's nothing wrong that you did. But next time you do it in your private space.
Yeah.
No one must see you do it. Because it's something that it's human nature.
Yeah.
So everyone does it.
Yeah.
But it's where and how you do it.
Yes.
And
these things that we didn't think we would have to say, we have to learn.
We have to learn. So I told him, and after that we were fine. And Ben had the discussion. It's like, you've just made it so easy for me. So now we're able to talk about these things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I didn't even know how to approach it. But I think for somehow you get prepared for these things.
I think one of the other things that I'm kind of hearing from you is to have a community of people around you, like Ben, teacher, Amy, your siblings, your mom, all of these people who just love him for who he is.
Exactly.
They don't try and make him something that he's not.
He's not, yes.
They make him the best version of him.
Of course.
But having that support system around really does make a world of difference.
Oh, definitely.
And I've met your family. They're phenomenal. I love spending time with them, your mom also.
Thank you.
So yeah, I think it makes a huge difference when you having to have these conversations. I know a book that I love to recommend for young kids is called Birds, Bees and Destinies. And that kind of covers off all the kind of physical side of sex and that. So that's also a really great book to use. But it is also taking a message and translating it to something that Viwe, Ollie, anybody can grasp and learn from. And I think what you did there was beautiful. You took any shame away. You kept those communication lines open so he felt safe to come back to you. And this is why I love having conversations, because now I'm going to bank that, because, Ollie's not that far behind Viwe, so we're going to start experiencing things like this as well. So yeah, I think for me, just to kind of end off is best piece of advice that you can give for working moms of kids that are different, have special needs, however you want to, I don't know what the right term is.
You know, I always say that as much as we love our children, don't be overprotective. Let them be. Because if you are overprotective, they can't become independent, and independence is very important. The fact that I can let him now, because I was trying to see whether he can go to the shop on his own and buy, would actually drive to Spar or to the garage, and I would say, go inside. I'm scared as hell, but I'll just do it anyway. And I'll give him money and say, go buy a Coke. He goes inside, he comes back with the Coke. It's those little things. If you're overprotective, you're going to be scared of what if. Just forget about the what ifs. Just because they need to also feel that they are able to do stuff.
Yeah.
So I think for me, that's the thing, that as much as you've got special children, just let them be. Don't be, yes, we have to protect them, but don't overprotect, don't overcompensate. Just let them be. That's all that I can say.
I feel like you're speaking directly to me, never mind anybody who's listening. That's amazing. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I love spending time with you. Any excuse, really.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hi, thanks for watching this week's episode of Unlocking Hope. If you want to find out more about me, you can see my socials on screen or my website in the comments below. And if you're looking for a way to give back into a community, you can check out Kanisa Developmental Centre. Their details are also below, and it's a great way to give back into the community.